Listen carefully. Chosen one, heaven has waited for this very moment to reach you. Every trial, every silent night, every prayer you whispered in the dark has led to this divine intersection. The heavens are not closed over your life. God has just lifted the veil. What once seemed impossible is now within reach, because the path before you has been opened by divine command. You have endured storms that were meant to drown you, yet you stand. You have been misunderstood, doubted, and dismissed, yet something inside you refused to die. That resilience was not your own, it was heaven sustaining you. You are not hearing this by accident. The Spirit of God has orchestrated this exact encounter to remind you that your miracle is not on its way, it has arrived. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 13. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. This is not just history. This is prophecy fulfilled in your life right now. The same God who parted the Red Sea is parting the barriers that have surrounded you. The same God who silenced your enemies before will silence them again. There were seasons you thought God had forgotten you. You wondered why others advanced while you remained stuck. But heaven wants you to know the delay was never denial. The waiting was divine preparation. Every hidden moment was shaping your character for the glory that's about to manifest. God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting what He placed inside you from being exposed too early. You are standing at the threshold of divine reversal. What was once locked tight is now swinging open. The closed door, the rejection, the setback, it was all part of the blueprint. God used it to position you exactly where your miracle could find you. You thought you were losing ground, but heaven was setting the stage for a public unveiling. The enemy thought he buried you, but he was only planting you. And now, chosen one, you are breaking through the soil of limitation, rising into a harvest of favor that cannot be stopped. You are about to see prayers answered in ways you didn't imagine. Promises that seemed distant will manifest before your eyes. Even now, God is aligning people, opportunities, and timing in your favor. Lift your faith. Shake off the despair of yesterday. Heaven is declaring over you that the struggle ends here. Your miracle is not coming, it is happening. Every delay breaks under divine authority. You are about to walk through a door that others could not open for you because only the hand of God could. Can you feel it? The spiritual atmosphere around you is changing. Peace is replacing confusion. Strength is replacing exhaustion. Hope is igniting again. This is not wishful thinking. This is heaven's confirmation that your season of wandering is over. You are stepping into a flow of divine provision and supernatural favor. You will see it in your finances, in your health, in your relationships. The areas that have been dry are about to bloom. What was broken will be rebuilt. What was empty will overflow. You will know that it was God, not luck, not coincidence. And when others ask how it happened, you will simply say, "The Lord opened the way." Chosen one, the time to doubt has passed. The promise is alive. The way is open. The miracle has begun. Heaven is watching. Earth is responding. And your obedience will unlock even greater doors. You were chosen for this exact moment to rise, to believe again, and to walk into what heaven has already prepared. Now, seal this prophetic moment. Do not hesitate. Lift your voice of faith through action, like, share, and subscribe so that this light continues to reach those who are still searching for hope. And type the number that marks this divine confirmation, 444. Heaven is not silent, it is shifting on your behalf. Even now, angels are moving in response to your faith. The winds of change are blowing. And what once resisted you is now aligning with divine timing. The command has gone forth, your miracle will not be delayed. You will look back and see how every closed door protected you, how every disappointment redirected you. What felt like loss was divine redirection. God has not been absent, He has been intentional. Every unseen hand of grace has guided you toward this sacred unveiling. Now walk boldly. Chosen one, you are stepping through the very threshold that was once blocked. The ground beneath you is holy. The weight you carried is lifting, and heaven's power is surrounding you with unshakable peace and unstoppable favor. The light of destiny now burns brighter within you. The way has opened, walk through it with confidence. The promise is fulfilled. The miracle is unfolding, and your name is written in the story of divine victory. You have arrived at the turning point. You remember the battles that no one else saw, the nights you cried in silence, the days you forced a smile while your heart was breaking. Every hidden struggle, every unseen tear was not wasted. Heaven counted them, each one recorded as evidence of your faithfulness in the shadows. You fought wars no one applauded, carried weights no one understood, and yet, through it all, you did not let go of God. That silent endurance was holy. There were moments when you questioned your own strength. You asked why you had to be the one to suffer, why the attacks seemed relentless, why peace felt so far away. But what you didn't know was that God was refining you. The fire you walked through was not meant to destroy you, it was designed to reveal what could not burn. You were being purified, prepared, and strengthened for a glory you could not yet comprehend, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is the rhythm of heaven, pain before promise, battle before blessing, darkness before dawn. And you, chosen one, have endured your night. The morning is not coming, it has begun to rise over you. The evidence of your faith is the sunrise now touching your life. Those hidden battles were not a curse, they were a curriculum. Through them, you learned to pray when you could not speak, to worship when you could not see, to stand when you wanted to collapse. You learned how to hear the voice of God through silence. Every rejection was redirection. Every heartbreak was instruction. Every delay was divine protection. Heaven trusted you with struggle because it knew your spirit would not bow to darkness. You were not fighting for survival, you were being trained for authority. Every scar became a seal of strength. Every setback, a silent ordination. God was teaching you how to carry weight without breaking, how to stay faithful when nothing made sense, how to hold on when the storm raged louder than your prayers. Those who mocked you will soon understand that what looked like suffering was sacred preparation. Do you see it now? The strength you carry is not ordinary. It is forged from the fires of loneliness, betrayal, and endurance. You know what it means to cry and still believe, to lose and still love, to stumble yet refuse to fall apart. This is the mark of one chosen by God, not perfection, but perseverance. You carry the anointing of endurance that breaks cycles of defeat. The hidden battles gave you sight. You can now discern what others overlook. You recognize divine timing, sense spiritual shifts, and feel heaven's heartbeat in the smallest of signs. This is why your presence unsettles darkness. It recognizes the authority of one who has suffered and survived. The enemy's attacks did not work because you learned how to fight in silence. You discovered that worship is warfare, that patience is power, and that surrender is strength. Many saw your weakness but did not know your war. They saw your pause but did not see your preparation. And now, when the miracle manifests, they will not understand how you endured what should have broken you. You will simply smile, knowing that grace carried you. Every bruise became beauty. Every tear became testimony. You are living proof that God restores what pain tried to steal. Do not despise your scars. They are evidence that you have been in the fire and lived to tell about it. Heaven does not crown those who never fought. It honors those who fought unseen battles and refused to surrender their faith. You did not fail. You finished the test. The reward for your endurance is unfolding even now. Look closely. The signs are everywhere. The pressure has lifted. The spiritual atmosphere is lighter. The doors that once refused to open are beginning to move. The strength you gained in your hidden season will now sustain you in the open one. You will no longer have to explain your worth or defend your purpose. The same God who watched you cry in private is now preparing to honor you in public. The darkness you endured was not punishment, it was the covering that kept you until the appointed hour. The same way a seed must remain buried before it breaks through the soil. Your silence was the womb of transformation. You have been growing roots while others chased recognition. And now, because you endured, you will flourish. The night is ending. The sun is rising. The sound of heaven whispers your name in victory. You have survived the hidden battles, and now you are ready to walk in visible glory. Your endurance has become your evidence, proof that what God started in you cannot be destroyed by anything around you. There were times you mistook silence for rejection. You prayed. You fasted. You cried. And still, heaven remained still. But chosen one, hear this truth: God's silence was never his absence. What you called delay, heaven called alignment. You were not being ignored, you were being positioned. Every closed door, every missed opportunity, every unanswered prayer carried a purpose far greater than your understanding. If God had opened those doors too soon, they would have crushed you under a weight you weren't ready to carry. The delay was mercy disguised as waiting. Heaven was rearranging your story in ways your eyes could not yet see. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." Every disappointment, every detour, every quiet moment has been working together to form the foundation for your next miracle. When you felt abandoned, heaven was building your faith. When you saw nothing happening, the unseen realm was preparing everything. God was never behind schedule. He was synchronizing your life with divine timing. You thought you were waiting on him, but he was waiting on your readiness. Delay teaches what success cannot. It teaches you how to trust when you can't trace. It teaches you how to stand without proof, how to believe without evidence, how to wait without bitterness. You learn to pray in silence, to believe in darkness, to hope against hopelessness. You are no longer fragile, you are fortified. You see, chosen one, heaven never wastes a waiting season. Every moment of stillness carried purpose. The silence shaped your character, purified your motives, and sharpened your spirit. You were not being punished, you were being prepared to carry more. The reason the wait was long is because the blessing will be weighty. Now, heaven whispers, it's time. The pieces are aligning. The timing is perfect. And the promise is unfolding. You will see why you had to wait. You will understand that the delay was never meant to deny you, but to develop you. When your miracle arrives, you'll realize it came at the only moment it could have, when your heart was ready to receive it. This is the turning of divine pages. The silence is ending, and the sound of fulfillment is rising. The same God who kept you in waiting is now propelling you forward. The clouds that covered your horizon are parting, revealing the dawn that was promised long ago. Chosen one, your waiting season was never wasted. Every unanswered prayer has matured into revelation. Every no was leading you toward the perfect yes. The silence has done its work. You are now ready to walk into what once overwhelmed you. Heaven has not forgotten, it has finished preparing. And as this truth settles in your spirit, respond not with worry, but with faith. Let your comment below be your prophetic agreement, a symbol of surrender and trust in God's perfect timing. Type these words as a declaration that heaven will see and honor in His time. When you write it, you're telling heaven, I release control. I trust your timing more than my timeline. You're declaring that you understand the delay was design, not denial, that you are ready to receive what has been waiting for the appointed hour to arrive. When you type in His time, you are not simply commenting words on a screen, you are activating faith. You are declaring to heaven and to every opposing force that your trust is anchored in divine timing, not human impatience. You are saying, God, even when I don't see the outcome, I know you are still working. These words carry weight in the spirit because they announce surrender, the kind that unlocks the very miracle you've been waiting for. Every delay has meaning. When you write those 3 words, you're acknowledging that you no longer wrestle with the clock. You understand that the Creator of time cannot be late. In His time becomes a prophetic seed planted in faith, one that will grow into a testimony of fulfillment. It's not passive waiting, it's active trust. You're choosing rest over anxiety, faith over fear, and alignment over control. Heaven hears that choice and moves accordingly. Let those words remind you that nothing you lost was wasted, and nothing meant for you will ever pass you by. You are declaring that every prayer will return at its appointed hour, matured and multiplied. In His time is your surrender song, the melody that invites divine order back into your life. When your heart releases the need to rush, your spirit finally aligns with God's rhythm of grace. So type it boldly, not as a wish, but as a decree. In His time, let it echo as a statement of victory, not resignation. Let it be your reminder that heaven's timing is never offbeat, it's perfect, precise, and personal. And when your miracle unfolds, you will look back and say, yes, it truly came in His time. When the enemy thought it was over, heaven was only beginning. There were moments when darkness seemed to win, when every sign pointed toward defeat, when hope felt like a distant dream. You stood at the edge of surrender, believing perhaps this was where your story would end. But chosen one, the enemy celebrated too soon. What he didn't understand was that you serve a God who writes resurrection into every ending. The Word of God declares in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 57, "But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Victory was written into your destiny long before the battle began. The moment you thought you were losing, heaven was already declaring your triumph. Every weapon that rose against you was permitted only to reveal what could not be destroyed within you. When the enemy came for your peace, God expanded your faith. When he attacked your joy, heaven increased your endurance. Every attempt to break you only deepened your roots. You learned that the presence of warfare is not a sign of abandonment, it's proof of your assignment. The greater the opposition, the greater the anointing attached to your life. There were days when you questioned if you would make it. The weight felt unbearable. The silence felt endless. Yet through every wave, you refused to drown. You may not have realized it then, but heaven was fighting for you. Angels were stationed on every side. While the enemy plotted destruction, God was designing deliverance. The very weapon formed against you became the tool heaven used to refine your strength. You see now, the enemy never had the final say. His power was limited, his reach restricted, his time short. The very moment he thought you were buried, God was planting you deeper in purpose. The tombs that were meant to hold you became wombs for your next season. You were not buried, you were being positioned for resurrection. What looked like endings were divine beginnings in disguise. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every loss was an instrument heaven used to reveal the depth of your resilience. You were never fighting alone. Every time the enemy struck, he struck against the plan of God, and in doing so, he further confirmed your chosen nature. Chosen one. The enemy's mistake was assuming that pain would silence you, but pain became your prayer, and tears became your testimony. The attacks that were supposed to destroy you only revealed what heaven had already fortified within you. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned for good. You carry a victory that cannot be stolen because it was not earned by human strength, it was sealed by divine decree. The blood of Christ already wrote the outcome before the battle began. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from victory. That is why, even when everything seemed lost, something inside of you whispered, "Keep standing." And you did. You stood when others fell. You believed when reason said, "Stop." You kept walking when the road disappeared beneath your feet. That was not your power, it was divine preservation. Every unseen intervention, every quiet miracle, every moment you didn't quit was heaven proving the enemy wrong again and again. Now, as you look back, you'll see how every blow pushed you closer to your purpose. The fire did not consume you, it purified you. The storm did not drown you, it baptized you in strength. The battle did not defeat you, it revealed that you were born for warfare. You carry scars, but they shine like armor. You carry memories of pain, but they've become monuments of grace. The enemy lost because he fought someone who cannot be broken. You are not who you were when this began. You are stronger, wiser, and clothed in light. You've walked through shadows and come out radiant. The war refined you into a weapon of glory. And now, wherever you go, darkness recognizes your authority. So when you face resistance again, and you will remember this moment, the enemy thought it was over once, and he was wrong. He will be wrong again, because you belong to the one who turns graves into gardens, tears into triumph, battles into blessings. You stand not as the wounded, but as the warrior, not as the victim, but as the victor. And the next time the enemy whispers, "It's over," you will smile, knowing that those words are heaven's cue to begin again, because for the chosen, endings are never the end. They are divine invitations to rise. Every time darkness declared defeat, heaven whispered destiny. What was meant to bury you only pushed you deeper into divine purpose. The light within you now burns brighter than the fires that once tried to consume you. Your story stands as proof. What ends in human sight often begins in divine design. The battle was never about your destruction, it was about your unveiling. You have overcome, and heaven calls it victory. There comes a sacred moment when the scroll of destiny begins to unfold, when what was written about your life in heaven starts to manifest on earth. You have reached that moment. Chosen one, you can feel it. Can't you? The air feels different. The weight that once pressed you down now feels lighter, almost as if invisible hands are lifting you towards something greater. This is not your imagination. This is heaven's script finally turning its page. You were never meant to wander forever. The season of confusion is giving way to clarity. The same God who called the stars by name has been whispering yours, preparing to reveal the next chapter of your divine purpose. What once felt hidden is about to be revealed, not because you forced it, but because the appointed time has arrived. According to what is revealed in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This verse is not a distant promise, it is a present reality awakening within you right now. You are walking into the divine blueprint that was drawn before your birth. Sometimes, destiny doesn't unfold with loud announcements. It happens quietly through the people you meet, the whispers that stir your heart, the sudden peace that replaces fear. That's how heaven writes its stories. And this story, your story, is being written in real time. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly where you're meant to be. You may have wondered, why me? But that question itself reveals that you've been chosen. God entrusts his hardest missions to those who can carry both burden and beauty. You have carried both with grace. You've endured loss and still chosen love, faced silence and still chosen faith. That is what marks you as chosen, your refusal to give up when everything else told you to. And now, as your destiny scroll unfolds, heaven begins to call others to witness it. Every word spoken here is part of that divine unfolding. If these messages reach your heart, if they've strengthened your spirit, then you are already part of this unfolding light. You are not just receiving, you are participating in something bigger than yourself. The light that flows through these messages is like a river. Each listener becomes a stream feeding into it, helping it flow farther and reach more lives. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are adding another drop of light to that river, helping it flow into hearts still wandering through night. You're not clicking for content, you're sending a spark that could ignite someone else's hope. Somewhere, there is another soul on the edge of giving up, waiting for the very words that once lifted you. And if you ever feel moved to go deeper, to pour a drop of water back into the well that refreshed you, know that you can. There's no pressure, no demand. Giving is never about obligation, it's about alignment. When you give, you are not paying for the light, you are helping the flame travel farther. You become the quiet candle that keeps the fire alive for someone you may never meet. Your gift, no matter the size, becomes part of the divine story this message tells. It helps light continue to reach dark corners of the world. It helps voices of hope keep speaking. But it must come from joy, not duty, from love, not fear. That's what makes it sacred. Heaven honors what is freely given from the heart. So, if you feel led, sow your light, whether by sharing, liking, subscribing, or offering a seed of giving. Think of it not as donation, but as watering a garden that once gave you fruit. You are keeping the soil fertile for others who will soon find their way here, hungry for hope. Let your heart be the guide. Follow what peace leads you to do. Like to keep the fire visible. Share to send the flame onward. Subscribe to stay part of the journey. And if your heart whispers to give, let it be your thank you to heaven for what already bloomed inside you. Because, chosen one, your destiny is not bought, it's already written. Your giving, your sharing, your support, it simply keeps turning the pages so others can find their own. Together, we become co-authors with heaven, writing stories of faith, hope, and divine restoration. This is how the scroll unfolds, not by force, but by flow, not through demand, but through devotion. You are part of that sacred flow now, and the story continues through you. Every act of kindness becomes a brushstroke on heaven's canvas. What you give time, faith, light paints new hope into stories still being written. Your heart's generosity becomes eternal echo. Long after this moment fades, its light travels, reaching souls you'll never meet. Whispering gently, love always finds its way. There is a sacred beauty in breaking. You learned that when life stripped everything away, something within you refused to die. The breaking did not destroy you, it revealed you. The moment you reached the end of your strength, heaven began its work. What you thought was collapse was really conception. The breaking point was never meant to bury you, it was meant to birth something divine. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 18, verse 4. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to him. This is your story. You are the clay that God never threw away. Even when you cracked under pressure, He kept molding you. Every fracture became a doorway for light to enter. Chosen one, your breaking did not signal the end, it signaled transformation. The crushing of your comfort birthed the call within you. God never wastes pain. He uses it to build capacity. The weight that once felt unbearable was expanding your heart for greater purpose. You were being remade to hold what heaven was preparing. Do you remember those nights when you whispered, "I can't do this anymore"? Heaven heard. But instead of removing the pressure, God strengthened your spirit. He knew you were closer to breakthrough than you realized. You thought He was silent, but He was busy forming something that could only exist through the fire. The breaking shaped you. It removed what was false and revealed what was eternal. You discovered that peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. You began to see that surrender is not defeat, it is divine alignment. When you finally let go, Heaven took over. There is power in brokenness. Flowers bloom where the soil has been torn. Rivers flow where ground has been split. The light of resurrection only shines through cracks wide enough for grace to enter. That is why your story still carries hope. It has been refined by breaking. You are no longer fragile. You are holy clay in the potter's hands. Every tear you cried was not a sign of weakness, but a baptism of renewal. The crushing season pressed out the counterfeit and poured in the genuine. Now, when you speak, heaven's tone echoes through your words. When you walk, the ground remembers the weight of your faith. You carry evidence that pain does not have the final word, purpose does. So, do not despise the breaking. Thank God for it. Because what broke you also birthed you. The same fire that tried to consume you has become the flame that lights your path. Every scar you carry glows with redemption. You are not the same person who entered the storm. You are the one who emerged crowned in resilience. Heaven is whispering now. Do you see why I allowed it? The breaking made room for blessing. The emptiness made space for abundance. The end of your strength revealed the beginning of mine. This is what God says to you. You were never abandoned. I was shaping you into something unshakable. Chosen one. Your breaking has become your becoming. The miracle is already forming. Can you feel it? Every shattered piece of your past is being gathered and reassembled into something beautiful. Something new. You will not recognize yourself when God is finished. The light will pour from the very places that once bled. And now, as you stand in this moment of revelation, heaven invites you to mark it. Let your spirit agree with this truth. Let your faith speak. Type this number in the comments as a prophetic act, a sign that you understand the beauty of your breaking and the power of your rebirth. 333. This number symbolizes divine restoration. Father, Son, and Spirit working together to make all things new. When you write it, you are declaring, I am whole again. Not because I was never broken, but because God shaped my fragments into something sacred. Your breaking was never wasted. It was heaven's blueprint for your rebuilding. What God is forming now will carry more glory, more wisdom, and more peace than anything you lost. The breaking was the beginning. The miracle has already started. When you type 333, you're not just entering numbers, you're entering agreement with heaven's process. It's a declaration that what once broke you has now become the vessel of your rebirth. You're saying, God, I see what you were shaping all along. Each digit carries a rhythm of divine completeness, Father, Son, and Spirit working in perfect harmony to rebuild what life tried to destroy. When you release this number, you're aligning your soul with that holy rhythm, allowing heaven to finish the masterpiece it began in you. So, write it boldly, not as a wish, but as worship. Let 333 become your signature of surrender, your seal of faith. It means I trust the potter. Even in my breaking, I was being made whole. There comes a moment when the whisper of heaven cuts through the noise of earth. You recognize it not with your ears, but with your spirit. It is the same voice that called your name in the silence, the one that carried you through storms and spoke peace over your sleepless nights. That voice has returned not to comfort you this time, but to call you forward. The Word of God declares in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27, My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me. This is the essence of your journey. you have learned how to hear. Not every sound deserves your attention. But when heaven speaks, something in your soul rises in recognition. That is happening right now. You have spent seasons listening to the wrong voices: fear, doubt, insecurity, the echo of others' expectations. They told you to stay quiet, to play small, to fit in where you never belonged. But God is speaking a different command: rise, chosen one, and walk the path I have prepared for you. This voice does not echo like the world's, it burns with authority. It cuts through confusion and calls you by identity, not circumstance. The moment you obey that voice, everything begins to shift. Obedience is the language of trust, and trust is the key that unlocks divine momentum. You may not see the entire road, but heaven never asks you to. God only asks for your first step. When you move, the next step will appear beneath your feet, illuminated by grace. Many have heard the call but stayed in comfort. They feared the unknown more than they trusted the promise. But you have been chosen to move even when the map is unclear. You are being called to walk by faith, not sight. The whisper is not just direction, it is an invitation to transformation. The voice that calls you forward does not promise ease, it promises purpose. It asks for your surrender, because surrender opens the way for divine strength. When you let go of control, you make room for miracles. When you stop asking, "How will this work?" and start saying, "Here I am," heaven moves. Do not underestimate the power of a single yes. That one act of obedience can shift generations, break cycles, and rewrite stories. Abraham said yes and became a nation. Moses said yes and freed a people. Mary said yes and carried salvation within her womb. And now, chosen one, heaven is waiting for your yes. You've already felt the pull, the stirring that doesn't let you rest where you are. It's not anxiety, it's divine invitation. The call of God never leaves you comfortable. It shakes complacency, awakens courage, and demands faith. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is calling you to rise, to step into something far greater than what you imagined for yourself. This call may separate you from the familiar. Obedience often requires distance from what once defined you. You will find yourself walking away from noise to hear the whisper more clearly. It's not isolation, it's consecration. Heaven is pulling you closer to the place where your purpose breathes freely. Every divine call begins with disruption. Your plans begin to unravel, not because you failed, but because God is rewriting them with His own hand. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. The walls you once leaned on are crumbling, so you can finally learn to stand on faith alone. Do not fear this voice. It carries peace, even in correction. It carries love, even in command. When God speaks, His words do not wound, they awaken. They remind you of who you were before fear told you otherwise. You are not hearing a stranger. You are hearing the voice of the one who has loved you since the beginning of time. And as you listen, something inside of you begins to stir again. Dreams you buried, hopes you silenced, visions you dismissed as impossible. They are all being resurrected by the same voice that called Lazarus out of the tomb. The Spirit of God is calling you to life again. So stand still and listen. The wind around you may roar, but there is a softer sound beneath it, the gentle whisper that says, "Come." This is your call into purpose, your invitation into destiny. Heaven has spoken, and your spirit knows it is time. Do not question whether you are ready. If God has called you, He has already equipped you. The way will not open until you walk. But when you do, miracles will accompany your every step. This is your moment to follow the voice that never misleads. The voice that has carried you this far. The voice that will lead you all the way home. The voice still whispers through the wind of your spirit, gentle, steady, unstoppable. Follow it without fear. Each step you take echoes heaven's heartbeat through your destiny. There comes a point when you no longer walk by sight, but by an unseen certainty that pulls you forward. You feel it deep within the invisible threshold. It's not a door you can see, yet you know it exists. You sense that something has shifted in the unseen realm, and now heaven is waiting for your next move. What once resisted you now begins to yield. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. That promise is not metaphorical, it is literal in the spirit. The unseen door is already responding to the knock of your faith. Every act of obedience you've made has been a key turning in a lock you could not see. You have arrived at the crossing point between what was and what will be. The air feels charged, the atmosphere different. Heaven has opened something before you that cannot be shut by human hands. You are about to step through into fulfillment, into answered prayer, into purpose, fully alive. For so long, you stood before this invisible doorway, wondering if it would ever open. You prayed and heard nothing. You waited, thinking the silence meant denial. But all along, God was testing your endurance. You see, faith is not proven when the door swings open easily. It's proven when you keep knocking, even when nothing moves. And now, because you refuse to walk away, the lock has clicked. The way is open. You feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. The invisible has begun to manifest. This is how heaven moves quietly, suddenly, and completely. Chosen one, when you step through this unseen door, you will not be the same. Everything that once intimidated you will recognize the authority you carry. You are walking into alignment where divine timing meets divine purpose. You have not missed your moment. It was waiting for you to mature into the strength required to sustain it. Crossing this threshold requires courage, not certainty. The unknown is not empty. It is filled with everything God has prepared for you. What looks like risk is really revelation. When you walk through, you'll realize that the door was never locked. It was simply waiting for your faith to arrive. The moment your spirit said yes, the walls that held you back began to tremble. Old patterns are falling away. Fear no longer fits you. You can feel the weight of the past trying to cling to your ankles. But it cannot follow you through this doorway. You must leave behind what was so you can embrace what will be. This is not just a transition, it's a transformation. The invisible threshold is where you shed the remnants of who you were and step fully into who you were always meant to be. The voices of doubt grow faint here because faith is the only language that opens the door. You will know you've crossed when peace settles where anxiety once lived. The things that used to frustrate you will no longer move you. The places that once held you will no longer fit you. You will sense heaven's breath pushing you forward, urging you to step into the space where miracles live. Sometimes this doorway appears in strange forms, a sudden opportunity, a new connection, an inner prompting that feels almost unreasonable. but don't resist it. God rarely opens doors that lead to comfort. He opens doors that lead to calling. What you are walking into now will require greater trust, deeper humility, and stronger faith. But it will also bring more fulfillment than anything you've known before. You are crossing from promise into manifestation. What was spoken over you is about to become visible. The prayers that lingered in waiting are about to take shape. The invisible hand of God has been working details into alignment for this exact moment. You are not late, you are right on time. As you step forward, do not look back. The threshold demands focus. The door behind you will close as a sign that the past is complete. You cannot carry old mindsets into new miracles. You cannot bring yesterday's pain into tomorrow's promise. The way is open, but it is narrow. It only fits the version of you that heaven designed. This invisible crossing is not just about entering a new season. It's about stepping into divine flow. You will notice how things begin to move easily, how peace becomes your compass, and how grace meets you before you even ask. That is the sign you have crossed. And when you look around, you'll realize something profound. You were never walking toward the open way. It was walking toward you. Heaven and earth have met in the middle, and your faith was the bridge. You are through the threshold now. Breathe deeply. The air here feels lighter because it carries destiny's fragrance. Welcome to the other side of obedience, where the unseen becomes visible, and every step reveals how near heaven has always been. Something has shifted. You can feel it. The heaviness that once sat on your shoulders is gone. The air around you vibrates with divine movement. Seasons are changing, and heaven is declaring a new order over your life. What once felt stuck is now flowing. What once felt delayed is accelerating. This is not ordinary time. This is appointed time. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms. Chapter 1, verse 3. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. This is your moment of divine fruitfulness. You are stepping into a season where everything begins to grow at supernatural speed. For a long time, you were planted in stillness. It seemed as if nothing was moving, as if the soil of your life had gone dry. But heaven was working underground, expanding your roots so you could hold the weight of what's coming. You are about to see acceleration, answers arriving faster than expected, doors opening smoother than before, peace replacing pressure. Chosen one. This is what happens when seasons shift. The battles that once defined you now refine you. The tears that once watered your prayers are about to bloom into visible blessing. The waiting season has ended, and the harvest season has begun. Everything around you is being reordered by divine timing. When seasons shift, it can feel strange. Old doors close suddenly. Familiar people drift away. Patterns that once worked stop working. Don't resist it. The discomfort is not punishment, it's proof of growth. Just as trees shed leaves to prepare for spring, you are shedding what no longer serves your next season. You are being positioned for increase. Heaven is aligning opportunities that fit the strength you now carry. The people who are meant for your next chapter will find you not by chance, but by divine coordination. You won't have to chase, you will attract. Because when God shifts your season, He also shifts your atmosphere. You'll start noticing small signs of confirmation, conversations that feel divinely timed, sudden bursts of clarity, unexpected favor in unlikely places. These are heaven's way of saying, you're in the right place now. This is what happens when you step into alignment. Everything that belongs to you begins to recognize you. Do not rush. Let the rhythm of heaven guide your steps. The same God who started the shift will sustain it. You don't need to make things happen. Your obedience has already opened the way. Just walk in peace, trusting that what flows naturally in this season is what's meant for you. You are moving from striving to thriving, from waiting to walking, from enduring to enjoying. The struggle was a seed. Now it's time for harvest. Every prayer, every sacrifice, every moment you refuse to give up, it's all converging now. Heaven calls this your divine season of return. The acceleration you feel isn't random, it's reward. The favor that's coming isn't luck, it's legacy. The growth that's happening isn't temporary, it's transformation. You are not the same soul who began the journey. You are stronger, wiser, more grounded in grace. Chosen one, lift your head. The wind that once opposed you is now carrying you. The time of delay is over. The rhythm of your life is now in sync with heaven's heartbeat. Every area, your faith, your purpose, your peace is aligning in divine order. This is the moment to breathe deeply and say, I receive the new, because the new is already unfolding. Let go of resistance and flow with what God is doing. This is your season to bear fruit without fear. And as you stand in this shift, let your heart speak what your spirit already knows. Type this simple declaration below, not as ritual, but as revelation. Let heaven see your agreement with the new season that's rising over your life. I flow now. When you write it, you're declaring that you're done fighting against what God is forming. You are moving with His rhythm, walking with His timing, breathing in His peace. You are saying yes to divine flow where effort ends and grace begins. When you type, I flow now, you are making more than a statement. You're entering divine rhythm. You're declaring that you will no longer resist what God is doing, but move in harmony with His unfolding plan. Those 3 words signal that you trust His timing more than your timeline. They tell heaven that you have stopped striving to control and started allowing yourself to be carried by grace. I flow now means you've chosen peace over pressure, surrender over struggle. So write it with intention. Each letter becomes a step into alignment. Each word a release of resistance. When you declare, I flow now, you are saying, God, I'm ready for your current to carry me wherever destiny calls. The air around you feels different now. It carries weight and wonder, as if heaven itself has descended to crown you. You can sense it in your spirit. Something sacred is resting upon you. You've walked through fire, endured storms, crossed invisible thresholds, and now the mantle of glory descends. This is not just blessing, it's assignment. It's heaven's way of marking you for purpose greater than yourself. The ancient words recorded in Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, declare, Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That light is not around you anymore. It's within you. You have become the vessel through which heaven displays its radiance. Everywhere you step, that light will follow, not because you earned it, but because you endured for it. This mantle is invisible, yet undeniable. It carries authority that cannot be faked, peace that cannot be shaken, and love that cannot be silenced. It's not a robe of recognition, it's a garment of responsibility. You've been entrusted with this light, so you can walk into dark spaces and shift the atmosphere without even speaking a word. Your presence now carries the frequency of heaven. The glory resting on you is gentle yet powerful, like morning sunlight that melts away the night. It will draw people without effort. Some will be comforted by it, others will be convicted by it, but none will be able to ignore it. This is what happens when a chosen one carries divine light. You become a living reflection of God's heart in motion. Yet with every mantle comes stewardship. Light must be tended like a flame. It must be kept pure, humble, and surrendered. The glory you carry is not meant to be stored. It's meant to be shared. Every act of kindness, every word of hope, every gesture of love becomes a spark, extending that light farther. And this is where heaven invites partnership. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not just engaging with a message, you are helping the flame move from one soul to another. Each action is like opening a window for light to pass through. Somewhere across the world, someone lost in darkness might see that light and remember that hope still exists. When you give, it is never about transaction, it's about participation. Think of your heart as a lamp, and your generosity as oil that keeps the fire alive. When you sow into this work, you are adding oil to a flame that burns to reach hearts that need warmth. You're not obligated, you're invited. This is not demand, it's devotion. Giving becomes worship when it flows from gratitude, not guilt. Your offering doesn't have to be large. Even a single drop of oil can keep a flame alive through the night. It's not about how much, it's about what it means. When you give with love, heaven multiplies what you release. Your seed of faith becomes a spark that ignites another soul's miracle. The world often tells us to guard what we have, but heaven teaches the opposite. The more light you share, the brighter you become. The more love you release, the stronger it returns. You are part of something sacred, a chain of light that stretches across hearts, across borders, across time. And remember, your giving is not limited to money. Every prayer, every share, every word of encouragement is a currency of heaven. Each one carries weight, shaping eternity in ways unseen. When you press like, it's not vanity, it's affirmation that this light has reached you and should continue to shine for others. You are a keeper of the flame now. This light does not belong to one voice, it belongs to everyone who carries it forward. Each time you share, you're placing a lantern in another's path. Each time you give, you're adding another log to the fire that keeps countless hearts warm. Chosen one. This is what partnership with heaven looks like, not pressure, but participation, not obligation, but overflow. The light that found you now flows through you. It's a holy exchange. Heaven gives glory, and you give gratitude. Together, they create a cycle that never ends. So let your heart decide. If this message has awakened something in you, keep the flame alive. Like, share, subscribe. Give not because you must, but because it feels right. Let it be your way of saying, I carry the light too, because this glory was never meant to rest, it was meant to move. And as it moves through you, it will find others who have forgotten their worth, their faith, their light. You will be the reminder that they were never forgotten. The mantle has descended. The light burns steady. And now, Chosen one. The world will see God's reflection through your life, not forced, not fabricated, but freely flowing from a heart surrendered to the one who gave it all. The air around you carries a hum of expectation now. What was once invisible is beginning to take form before your eyes. You can feel it, the pulse of answered prayer, the quiet vibration of promises fulfilled. The miracle is no longer a distant concept. It's motion, alive, breathing, unfolding around you. You are walking inside the very thing you once begged for, and it is holy, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This is the principle you're living right now. The unseen has become seen because your faith refused to surrender. Every seed of hope you planted during the drought is sprouting now. The prayers you whispered through tears have matured into fruit you can finally taste. It didn't happen all at once. It grew slowly, almost quietly, until suddenly, the landscape of your life changed. You woke up one day and realized, this is it. It's happening. Chosen one. This is the stage of fulfillment that many dream of, but few recognize. Miracles rarely arrive with fanfare. They often walk in softly, wearing the disguise of daily life. A phone call you didn't expect, a door that opens without your effort, a sense of peace that makes no logical sense. That's how heaven moves in gentle, unmistakable precision. You see, miracles are not always explosions of wonder. Sometimes they are slow unfoldings of divine timing. You have stepped into that flow now. The things that once required striving now respond to your stillness. The burdens that once crushed you are now light because you carry them with divine assistance. This is what happens when faith matures. It stops demanding and starts discerning. Miracles follow those who believe long enough to stop forcing and start trusting. That's what you did. You stopped trying to manufacture the outcome and allowed God to reveal it in His own way. You learned that patience is not waiting for things to happen, it's trusting that they already are. And now, heaven rewards your endurance with manifestation. You will begin to notice signs everywhere, simple, sacred confirmations that whisper, it's done. A conversation that reaffirms your purpose. A door that opens after years of silence. Provision that arrives exactly when you need it. These are not coincidences, they are orchestrations. Heaven's fingerprints are all over your story. And yet, chosen one, remember this truth. The miracle is not just what happens around you, it's what has happened within you. You have changed. The person who once begged for this moment no longer exists. You've been refined, purified, transformed. You now carry a deeper awareness of God's faithfulness. What you prayed for was the outer miracle. Who you became in the process was the inner one. You are walking proof that miracles are not accidents, they are appointments. Every delay, every denial, every detour led you here. God's timing has always been perfect. You just couldn't see the clock He was using. The things you thought were holding you back were actually holding you together until the right door opened. Take a deep breath. This is the season you've been waiting for. But do not rush to hold it too tightly. Miracles are meant to be lived in, not caged. Enjoy the presence of what you once only dreamed of. Taste it. Feel it. Let gratitude replace striving. Gratitude is the fragrance that keeps miracles alive. Understand this: miracles don't make you special. They remind you that you've always been loved. God didn't reward your performance. He responded to your persistence. You believed when it made no sense, and heaven took notice. This miracle is not payment, it's partnership. It's God saying, "See, I never left." There's something humbling about living inside what you prayed for. It quiets pride and magnifies awe. You realize that none of this could have happened without divine orchestration. You see the hand of God, not just in the outcome, but in every step that led you here, the waiting, the weeping, the wondering. Every piece of it was necessary. And though the miracle is now visible, this is not the end. It's the beginning of stewardship. You must now nurture what God has given. Protect it, honor it, and let it serve others. Miracles grow best when shared. Their light expands when reflected. Chosen one, the movement you feel around you is heaven's rhythm syncing with your own. Everything you asked for has found its way home. This is your "it is finished" moment, not in finality, but in fulfillment. The promise has become present. The prayer has become reality. The unseen has become seen. Pause here. Take it in. Let awe be your response. This is your miracle in motion, proof that God still performs wonders. Proof that faith still works. Proof that heaven still listens. And if He did it once, He can do it again. There are moments when heaven moves so quietly that only your spirit notices. You begin to feel an unseen presence guiding, guarding, and going before you. The air feels charged, yet peaceful. You sense that help has arrived, not in human form, but in divine order. What you are feeling is real. Heaven's army is surrounding you. According to what is revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, "For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." This promise is alive right now. You have not been walking alone, not for a single step. Even in your hardest nights, you were carried by unseen hands. Chosen one, angels have been on assignment over your life. Some guarded you from accidents you never saw coming. Others whispered strength into your spirit when words failed. Many cleared paths you didn't even know were blocked. They don't appear with trumpets or flashes of light. They move quietly, like wind, felt but unseen. Powerful, yet gentle. You are not imagining the sudden peace that falls after chaos. That's their presence. You are not imagining the way opportunities seem to appear in perfect timing. That's their movement. You are living within a divine strategy orchestrated by heaven itself. Every detail, every delay, every meeting, every protection has been managed by divine hands. These angels are not random messengers. They are heaven's loyal soldiers assigned specifically to your name. They operate by command, not coincidence. When you pray, they respond. When you speak faith, they move. When you surrender, they act swiftly, aligning earth with heaven's blueprint for your life. Even now, as you hear these words, angelic motion is increasing. There are doors opening, barriers dissolving, and invisible walls crumbling because heaven's army has gone ahead of you. You've entered a realm of divine acceleration where you no longer have to fight every battle because heaven is fighting for you. The struggles that once strained you are losing their grip. The resistance that once held you back is being dismantled piece by piece. You are not striving now, you are being carried. The spiritual realm has shifted in your favor, and unseen forces are ensuring that what belongs to you reaches you. There were moments when you almost lost hope. but heaven wouldn't allow it. When you wanted to quit, an inexplicable peace came. When you felt empty, sudden strength rose up inside. That was not coincidence, that was assistance. Angels don't just protect, they also empower. They remind your soul of its divine resilience when everything else tries to silence it. And here's a mystery sometimes. The help you prayed for doesn't come in the form you expected because it's already standing beside you in light. Angels move in obedience, not emotion. They respond not to fear, but to faith. Every time you refuse to let despair speak louder than destiny, you summoned them closer. Chosen one, you are entering a time when angelic activity will surround your every step. You will sense it in your home, your work, your rest. Synchronicities, peace, and favor will follow you. Doors will open effortlessly, not because of who you know, but because heaven knows your name. Take comfort in this truth: you have never been outnumbered. Even when the enemy plotted in darkness, light stood around you like fire. The same angels that protected Daniel in the lion's den, the same messengers that strengthened Jesus in Gethsemane, those same forces walk beside you now. This is not fantasy, this is divine reality. Heaven has assigned reinforcements, and they are already in motion. You don't have to command them, they already know your mission. You just have to stay aligned. Keep faith alive, and walk boldly, knowing you are backed by eternity. Now, seal this truth in your spirit. Let your comment below be your agreement with heaven's covering over your life. Type this number as a prophetic act of acknowledgement, a symbol of divine guardianship and protection encircling you in this very moment. 222. When you write 222, you're declaring that you walk under divine alignment, Father, Son, Spirit, working together through angelic power to guard your path. You're not just acknowledging protection, you're agreeing with it. You're saying, heaven is with me, and I am safe. When you type 222, you are doing more than entering numbers, you're responding to heaven's assurance. You're saying, I recognize I'm not walking alone. I acknowledge the unseen hands guiding and guarding my every step. Each digit is a symbol of divine order, Father, Son, and Spirit working in perfect harmony through angelic protection. Writing 222 becomes your spiritual agreement. Your way of stepping into that circle of safety heaven has drawn around you. So, type it with faith, not fear. Let it be a seal, not a superstition. When you declare 222, you're affirming, heaven surrounds me. I am covered. My path is watched over. And from that moment, peace will rest like armor upon your soul. Restoration has a sound soft, steady, like rain falling on dry ground. You can almost hear it now, can't you? The quiet rhythm of things coming back together. What once was scattered is being gathered. What was broken is being repaired. Heaven is restoring everything that was stolen. And this time, it's coming back multiplied. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. That promise still breathes today. It's not poetic language, it's a decree. God is not just returning what you lost, He's redeeming the time it took from you. The years of confusion, delay, and disappointment are being rewritten with divine compensation. Chosen one. Restoration is not simply about recovering things, it's about reclaiming identity. When the enemy tried to steal your peace, your hope, your confidence, he wasn't after possessions, he was after purpose. But heaven never forgot what belonged to you. The moment you thought you were defeated, God began planning your comeback. You are now in that season of holy reversal. The areas that once echoed with emptiness are beginning to resonate with abundance. The dreams you buried because you thought they died are stirring again. Restoration is not coming from the same direction you lost, it's coming from heaven itself. There were times when you mourned silently, convinced the best was behind you. You looked at the ashes of what once was and thought nothing beautiful could rise from it. But the God who breathes life into dust is breathing over your story again. The ashes are not your ending, they are the soil for your rebirth. Everything that was taken unjustly is returning by divine justice. Relationships, resources, opportunities, even time itself, heaven is recalibrating it all. You will look at what's coming and realize it's better than what you lost. Restoration does not replicate the old, it resurrects it into something new. Sometimes God doesn't give back what was taken because he plans to give better. The door that closed wasn't meant to reopen, it was meant to be replaced. The people who left weren't meant to return, they were meant to make space for those who will value you correctly. The job, the opportunity, the dream, it's all coming back upgraded. This is the season where your story changes tone. The cries that once filled your nights are turning into songs of gratitude. Where there was mourning, there will be music. Where there was scarcity, there will be overflow. Where there was silence, there will be testimony. Heaven is not just repairing the damage, it's rewriting the narrative. And here is the mystery of divine restoration. It doesn't just heal the wound, it redeems the purpose of it. The pain that once weakened you will become the proof of your strength. The loss that once shamed you will become the platform for your testimony. Nothing was wasted, not even the tears. You see, chosen one, restoration is not always loud. It begins quietly like light returning to a darkened room. Suddenly, the shadows retreat. You start seeing color again. The things that felt dead begin to move. That's the sign that heaven has remembered you. There is no expiration date on God's promises. What he said still stands. Time does not cancel his word. It only prepares you to receive it. The years you thought were wasted were years of construction, not loss. Heaven was rebuilding you while you were grieving what was gone. Now, as this season unfolds, expect unexpected blessings. The same places where you once faced rejection will now recognize you. The same doors that denied you will swing open without resistance. You will not chase. What belongs to you will find you. The anointing of restoration ensures that, and when it does, you'll notice something sacred. You won't feel anger toward the past anymore. Forgiveness will flow easily because you'll see how God used even pain as part of his plan. That's when you'll know restoration is complete, not when you regain things, but when your heart regains peace. Look closely at your life. Signs of restoration are already appearing. Conversations that bring healing. Opportunities that reignite hope. Joy where grief once lived. This is not coincidence, it's divine rhythm. The same God who promised restoration is fulfilling it in real time. You are walking in redemption's light now. Everything that was stolen, peace, time, confidence, love is being handed back into your spirit. Heaven is settling accounts on your behalf. And this time, you will lack nothing. Restoration is not coming. It has arrived. And it's carrying more than you lost. It's carrying everything you became through the loss, the wisdom, the resilience, the grace. You are not just restored, you are refined. What's returning to you is not a replacement of the old, but a resurrection into something eternal. There is a divine moment when the tables turn, when what was once against you begins to work for you. It happens suddenly, quietly, like dawn creeping through the edges of night. You can sense it now, the slow reversal of everything that tried to hold you back. What the enemy designed for your downfall is becoming the foundation of your elevation. As written in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." This scripture is the heartbeat of your story. Every betrayal, every closed door, every injustice, it all carried hidden purpose. The hands that tried to push you down unknowingly helped launch you forward. You are entering the divine exchange, where loss becomes lesson, wounds become wisdom, and pain becomes preparation. The scales that once tilted unfairly are now being balanced by heaven itself. You are not just being lifted, you are being vindicated. The same mouths that gossiped about you will have to witness your rising. The same people who dismissed you will be the ones God uses to confirm your destiny. Divine justice is not revenge, it is restoration with revelation. God is not simply making things even, He is making things new. You will not rise to prove your worth. You will rise because your purpose demands it. The throne of favor is not built on pride, it is carved from humility. That is why heaven can now trust you with influence. There were seasons when you asked, "Why did they treat me like that? Why did they walk away? Why did I have to lose so much?" Now, the answers unfold. You had to experience betrayal to learn discernment. You had to taste loss to appreciate true value. You had to be isolated so you could hear God clearly. Every wound was a teacher. Every rejection was redirection. Look closely. Chosen one, the tables are turning even now. The pressure that once crushed you is becoming the proof that you were chosen for weightier glory. The people who lied about you only spread your name farther. The circumstances that tried to bury you only helped you grow deeper roots. Nothing has been wasted. Everything has been repurposed. This is the hour when divine reversal becomes visible. Those who pitied you will marvel at you. Those who counted you out will count on you. It's not about pride, it's about prophecy. Heaven always fulfills its word in full view of the doubters, not to humiliate them, but to demonstrate that grace is real. Even now, God is orchestrating alignments that will astound you. Opportunities that slipped away will circle back, this time fitting perfectly into your purpose. People who wronged you will find themselves convicted, not because you demanded apology, but because divine order has made it so. You won't have to fight for your name. Heaven has already defended it. The table turning is not about revenge, it's about revelation. It's God saying, "See how I can use even the worst for your best." It's the moment when bitterness melts into understanding, when pain becomes perspective, when you finally see that every loss was part of the plan. You will no longer say, "Why me?" You will say, "Now I see." In this season, the reversal will be undeniable. Where you once heard no, you will hear now. Where you once felt forgotten, you will feel favored. The opportunities that bypassed you will call your name again. The positions that felt out of reach will suddenly fit your hands. This is not coincidence, it's correction. Heaven is setting the record straight. Do not let pride sneak in as favor rises. Remember the soil you came from, the tears that watered it, the faith that sustained it. Stay humble, because humility is the currency that keeps heaven's favor flowing. When God lifts you, it's not to elevate you above others, but to make you visible so others can find hope through your story. And as the tables turn, peace will replace pressure. You won't need to defend yourself. Your results will speak for you. You won't need to prove your worth. Your fruit will reveal it. The same God who saw you when no one clapped will crown you where everyone can see. Chosen one, this is your divine reversal. The chapter written in sorrow is being rewritten in celebration. What once hurt you will now help you. The very places that rejected you will become altars of testimony. You are living proof that God's justice is not delayed, it's deliberate. Take a deep breath. The tables have turned. The story has shifted. The hand of God has moved in your favor. And from this moment forward, nothing and no one can turn it back. The turning has begun, and its rhythm cannot be reversed. What once stood against you now stands beside you. The storm that broke you now carries your blessing forward. There is a sacred weight resting upon you now, a crown not made of gold or jewels, but of endurance and light. You've carried burdens that no one else saw, fought battles no one applauded, and yet you remained faithful. You stand today, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a victor of purpose. This is the moment heaven places the crown of the overcomer upon your head. The apostle reminds us in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. These are your words now. You have fought your fight. You have endured your race. And heaven declares that your crown has been crafted from perseverance. The crown you wear cannot be seen by human eyes, but all of creation recognizes it. Angels acknowledge it. Darkness fears it, because this crown carries authority born from endurance. It is not a symbol of pride, it is proof of faithfulness. Every scar you bear has become a jewel in its design. Every tear a reflection of divine grace. Chosen one, this crown does not come through ease, it comes through endurance. You earned it through nights, you stayed faithful when it made no sense. Through mornings you rose when you wanted to disappear. It is the crown of those who did not give up when everything inside them screamed to stop. Now, as you wear it, understand this: crowns are not for display, they are for purpose. You are called to walk in this authority gently, to speak with kindness, to live as proof that perseverance still leads to promise. The light resting on your life will guide others who are still walking through their own darkness. And as you walk, remember, you are not alone. Every step you take sends ripples through eternity, reminding others that faith still works, that endurance still wins. You are part of a living chain of overcomers, and the story you carry is a torch that lights the path for those behind you. That is why this message, this moment, exists to keep that flame alive. Every word spoken here is meant to strengthen someone who is barely holding on. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe. You are not feeding a system, you are feeding a flame. You are choosing to pass light forward, to reach a soul who may be one heartbeat away from giving up. Every share is like a seed cast into sacred soil. You may not see where it lands, but heaven waters it. Every like is a spark tossed into darkness, declaring, light still wins. Every subscription is a quiet vow saying, keep speaking, I'm here, walking beside this light. And if your heart ever stirs to give, to donate, to sow a seed into this flow of hope, know that it is not about transaction. It's about participation. Your gift is like pouring oil into a lantern that lights unknown paths. You're not paying for words, you're partnering with heaven to keep the warmth alive for those still searching for their way home. You have endured much, and now you shine, not because you sought attention, but because you refuse to stop glowing. You are proof that the light wins. The same God who crowned you with strength now invites you to spread that light however you can. Whether it's a share, a word, a prayer, or a gift. Every action born from love becomes light multiplied. And when your spirit feels moved, let your response be natural, never forced. Like if you still carry light. Share if you believe light must travel farther. Subscribe if you wish to walk with others crowned by endurance. Give if your soul whispers that the flame you received deserves to burn longer for someone else. Then, pause for one last sacred act, leave a comment. But not just words. Let it be a reflection. Write what this light has awakened in you, a word, a feeling, even silence, if that's what truth sounds like today. For in that space, your story becomes part of the crown too. Because this is how crowns shine brighter, not when we keep the glory to ourselves, but when we use it to illuminate the world around us. You have become a light bearer, a living testament that faith survives the fire. And now, chosen one, as you lift your head and feel the weight of that invisible crown, remember, it is not heavy, it's holy. Wear it with humility. Walk with grace, and let the light of your endurance touch every soul that crosses your path. For this is your true reward, not applause, but impact, not recognition, but reflection. You shine because heaven chose you to remind the world that overcoming is still possible. You are walking in the open way now. What once felt like walls has become a wide path stretching out before you, radiant with peace. Every step feels lighter, every breath fuller, as though the air itself is different here. You can sense that this is what heaven was preparing all along, not just a moment of breakthrough, but a life lived in divine flow. According to what is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, see, I am doing a new thing, now it springs up, do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. This is not distant prophecy, it's the reality you're walking in. The wilderness that once confused you now blooms under your feet. You have learned to recognize God's direction, not through signs alone, but through peace. The open way is not always the easiest, it's the most honest. Here, there are no disguises, no pretenses, no masks. You have outgrown the version of yourself that needed validation to move forward. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer strive, you align. You have become one with the rhythm of heaven. Walking in the open way means you no longer fear the unknown. You've learned that uncertainty is not danger, it's discovery. What once made you anxious now excites you, because you understand that faith is not about seeing every step, but trusting that the next one will appear. The ground that used to tremble beneath you now feels like solid rock. Chosen one. This path was not always open. There were days when you felt trapped. Days when prayers echoed back like unanswered letters. But heaven was working beneath the silence, clearing the road, preparing your spirit. The reason it took time is because the road you walk now had to be built within you first. The open way outside you is a reflection of the openness within you. This journey is not about reaching a destination, it's about walking with awareness. You are no longer racing toward blessings, you are walking beside them. The peace you feel is not absence of pressure, it's the presence of purpose. Everything around you now moves at the pace of grace. Here, on this open path, you begin to see how it all connects. The waiting, the weeping, the wilderness. Every chapter was necessary. Every detour carried wisdom. You see now that God never wasted a single step. Even your mistakes were folded into His design, turned into lessons that shaped your strength. You are no longer defined by what went wrong. You are refined by what went right in the midst of it. The open way is a sacred invitation to walk freely but carefully, to move boldly yet humbly. It is wide enough for vision, but narrow enough for focus. You no longer carry the burden of proving your worth. You simply live it. The light that guides you now is not external. It burns quietly inside, steady and sure. You have learned the language of peace. You recognize when to move and when to rest, when to speak and when to stay silent. This is maturity, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of discernment. You have learned how to walk with wisdom, how to hear heaven's rhythm, how to let faith set your pace. And as you walk this open way, you realize something profound. The path itself is a partnership. Each step you take invites heaven to respond. You move, and grace moves with you. You pause, and peace fills the silence. You are not walking toward God, you are walking with Him. This is what freedom feels like. Not rebellion, but rest. Not striving, but surrender. You are free, not because everything is easy, but because nothing can bind you anymore. You have learned how to let go without losing yourself, how to move forward without looking back. The open way is not just a path, it's a posture. It's how your soul breathes now, in rhythm with heaven's heartbeat. And as you walk, the landscape of your life transforms around you. People sense something different in your presence. Peace travels with you like a soft fragrance. Hope follows in your footsteps. This is what it means to sustain the miracle, not to live from moment to moment of divine rescue, but to live continually in divine relationship. You no longer wait for miracles, you walk as one. Your life itself has become proof that God still makes ways where there were none. So keep walking, keep listening, keep trusting the quiet voice that leads you gently forward. The open way does not end here, it continues beyond what you can see. Every sunrise reveals more of it. Every act of faith expands it. And one day, you'll look back and realize the path you walked was not random. Every turn, every delay, every step was perfectly measured. The way was always open, you just needed to believe enough to see it. There is a holy stillness that follows victory. It's not the silence of emptiness, but the calm of completion, the peace that settles when heaven finishes what it began. You can feel that peace now. It hums quietly beneath your skin, not demanding attention, but assuring you that the journey has fulfilled its purpose. This is the eternal echo of the chosen. The ancient words recorded in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 21, declare, to the one who is victorious, I will give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as I was victorious and sat down with my Father on his throne. This promise speaks not of distance, but of closeness. It is the whisper that reminds you you have not just survived. You have been seated in the place of authority. You now walk as one who has conquered through faith. Chosen one, your journey has not been ordinary, it has been sacred. From the first whisper of calling to the final unfolding of destiny, every chapter has carried divine intention. You have been shaped by fire, molded by mercy, and lifted by grace. What once broke you has become the foundation you now stand upon. Every tear you cried has been gathered into heaven's memory. Not one was wasted. Every unanswered prayer turned into direction. Every loss became revelation. You no longer ask, why did this happen? Because your spirit understands that everything carried purpose. Even pain had an assignment to prepare you for the weight of glory you now carry. You stand now as one who has crossed through every shadow and come out shining. The same darkness that once tried to silence you now reflects your light. You have become the testimony you once prayed to see. Every breath you take now carries evidence of divine restoration. The eternal echo within you is not just memory, it is inheritance. You are not living from miracle to miracle anymore. You are living from communion to communion, from grace to grace. The voice that once called you from afar now walks beside you, whispering truths only hearts at peace can hear. You have entered not just a new season, but a new existence, one where heaven and earth meet within you. There is no need to strive anymore. You are not trying to become, you already are. The chosen are not those who never fell. They are those who refuse to stay fallen. You have proven that endurance is stronger than despair, and that light never loses to darkness. Look at how far you've come. The path behind you glows faintly. Every step a testament of faith. The valleys no longer look like failure, they look like foundations. The storms no longer haunt you, they remind you of resilience. You are no longer haunted by what if. You are anchored in what is. The eternal echo of the chosen is not loud, it's steady. It is the rhythm of peace that cannot be shaken. The quiet confidence that God has finished what He promised. You live now with eyes open to wonder. Small things speak loudly to you, the color of the sky, the kindness of a stranger, the stillness after prayer. You see God everywhere, because He was never absent. He was only waiting for you to see Him clearly. This is what it means to carry eternity inside a mortal frame. You are both here and beyond, rooted in earth but resonating with heaven's frequency. When you speak, your words carry weight. When you move, the atmosphere adjusts. The chosen do not just live, they echo. Your life has become a song, composed of every triumph, every test, every tear turned into truth. It is not a song of sorrow but of sovereignty, the melody of a life that refused to bow to darkness. And though others may not hear it, heaven does. The sound of your obedience still reverberates through eternity. So now, chosen one, rest in this truth. Nothing more needs to be proven. You are the proof. You are the evidence that light always wins, that faith still moves mountains, that God still fulfills his promises. The echo of your life will continue long after your words fade, because eternity has marked you. Walk forward gently. You are not at the end, you are at the continuation of glory. The story doesn't close here. It unfolds forever. Every act of love, every word of grace, every moment of faith will ripple beyond time, touching lives you will never meet, shaping futures you will never see. And as heaven watches, there is a quiet joy because the chosen one has become what they were always meant to be, a living echo of divine faithfulness. The sound of your journey will not fade, it will travel endlessly, carrying light into every shadow it touches. You have finished the chapter, but the echo remains. The miracle is alive. The purpose endures. The crown gleams. The light flows on. And now, as the final words fade, the journey doesn't end, it expands. The light that found you here continues forward, flowing through every heart it touches. What you've heard was not just a message, it was a mirror, showing you who you've become. The chosen one is not a distant title, it is your reflection. If this message has stirred something within you, let that spark live on. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not performing a gesture, you're extending a flame. It's the act of taking what awakened you and sending it across oceans of souls who are still searching for warmth. Each comment you leave below becomes part of the echo, an imprint of gratitude. A whisper that says, I'm still here, and I still believe. Whether you write one word or pour out your story, it all becomes part of the light. You never know whose midnight will be illuminated by the truth you leave behind. And if your heart feels moved to give, do it not as obligation, but as worship. Picture it as pouring oil into a lamp that continues to burn long after you've walked away. Every seed of generosity becomes a ripple in eternity, helping this message find someone else standing on the edge of hope. Let your engagement be an act of love, not routine. Light to keep the flame visible. Share to pass it on. Subscribe to stay part of this living light. Donate if your spirit whispers that it's time to keep the fire burning. Because this was never just about words, it was about legacy. You are part of something eternal now. And every action you take helps that light keep moving, shining, and transforming hearts forever.